Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. It's Gunnar here. As you can see, I'm in a t-shirt right now, and this is absolutely wild that we're in a t-shirt at the end of January, very close to the beginning of February here, and we're in the middle of the habitat season. And as a habitat guy myself, this is feeling more like springtime and turkey hunting weather and shed hunting season. But that is the opposite of what we're talking about here today. I want to talk a little bit about timber stand improvement, the timing that you're doing that, and also a little bit about invasive control at the same time. Now, when we're thinking about doing TSI work, we're thinking about cutting trees during the dormant season. Now, on a day like today, when we're low 50s, some of these trees are gonna start pushing sap up towards the top because it is so warm, they're gonna start growing already. So that's a really bad time to be cutting your trees when we're trying to manage nutrients here. That's what we're doing when we're managing for timber. We're managing our nutrients. Now, in the dormant season, when we're cutting for TSI work, we're trying to create a flush of new growth from the forest floor to about hip height. That's what we're after here. And now when we're cutting mature trees, what we're doing is we're opening up the canopy, but we're also utilizing the nutrients from that said tree that we're dropping. So if I'm dropping multiple big overstory canopy trees, there's a lot of nutrients tied up in that tree. And the last thing that I want is warm temperatures like today and sap flowing up, nutrients flowing up into the top of that tree. And here I come right at the base and I lop that tree off and I kill it. Well, all those nutrients that have been flowing up for as long as that tree had been trying to grow are now trapped in the branches, in the beam of that tree, all the way in the top. And now that's gonna take years, decades, to break down all of those nutrients, become bioavailable for the remainder of the species in that area to use and actually produce valuable nutrition for the deer. And that's what I'm after here, right? So I want to talk to you about that. The timing of your cuts is almost as important as the species that you're cutting, right? And so this is even more important when we're dealing with trees that root sucker like aspen popple. If you're cutting trees like that when they're not dormant, you're going to reduce the stems in that vicinity drastically by losing all of those nutrients. What we want is we want all of these trees dormant when we cut them. So all of those nutrients are in the root system, readily available for the next following crop, which might be some blackberry briars, gooseberry, could be goldenrod, whatever the species of the native vegetation in that area is that you're cutting around. We want all of those to get a flush of new nutrients from that tree that we just dropped. So we don't want all of those nutrients tied up in the canopy, in those branches, and in the beam in the heart of that tree that's going to be laying there for decades and breaking down, decomposing. It's going to take a long time for all of those nutrients that tree has gathered. You know, you think about the root system of a mature tree, that's reaching 25, 30 yards out. That's sequestering all these nutrients from around that tree, and it's collecting it and it's holding it in that root system. So we want all of those nutrients readily available right in that exact area. So whatever flush and new growth does go ahead and take root where we're opening up that canopy doing our TSI work, we want that to have as many nutrients and as fertile a ground as we can possibly have. So think about that. I like to have multiple days leading up to when I'm cutting. I would like to have multiple days, at least 2. I will not cut if it's above freezing temperatures. Just because once you get above that freezing temperatures, you don't know whether these trees are starting to push nutrients up and start to try to grow. I like to be a little bit on the conservative side. Anything below freezing, I'm not gonna go out and cut. Just because I want to play it safe, I want to make sure those trees aren't pushing nutrients up into the canopy and start to grow, and I'm not losing any of the nutrients that I want to hold in that root system and make that bioavailable and readily available for the following crop. I won't cut if it's above freezing temperatures. Now, can you get away with it? Yes, but on days like today, I know trees are pushing nutrients up to the top and trying to grow. So that's the last thing I want. I want all of those nutrients dormant in the root system for the next native vegetation in that area to get a hold of and utilize. And now secondly, when we're talking about doing invasive control, it's the same concept, right? Whether that be honeysuckle, multiflora rose, or buckthorn, whatever it is, if we're trying to effectively kill that invasive, the way I do it, I cut it off at the base and I stump treat it. So to effectively stump kill and stump treat an invasive, we need dormant temperatures. We need these trees dormant, because when I go ahead and I cut that off at the root and I treat that stump, if I've got nutrients flowing upwards, it's gonna push all of that herbicide that I just treated it with out. So we need this herbicide to soak down into the root system and kill that root system of the invasive. If I cut a honeysuckle root system off today and I go ahead and I treat that, the next few days it's gonna be very warm, in the 40s and the 50s. That root system's gonna start pushing sap, and that's gonna go ahead and effectively push my herbicide out of that root system, and it's not gonna effectively kill it. So I want very frigid temperatures. I want that root system dormant. I want that tree dormant. I want that invasive dormant, so I can effectively cut that root system off, treat the stump, let that herbicide work into that root system, soak in for multiple days, and then effectively kill that invasive off. Because I don't want to have to go back and retreat on a different day on a job that should have been done on the first. So think about that when you guys are going to go ahead out and do some of this timber stand improvement work. Think about the temperatures, think about the conditions. Those trees that you're going to go ahead and cut, make sure that sap's not flowing, and make sure those nutrients are down in the root system where they're available for the following native plants to use. You don't want to trap those nutrients up high in that tree. That's going to take decades to break down and become bioavailable for the native vegetation in that area to utilize. Keep that in mind, guys. It's a beautiful day. I'm out here on the land just kind of exploring a little bit, but you can bet when these temperatures get back to normal, I'm going to get back at the TSI work, get back at the invasive control, and get this property ready to rock for next season.